Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game, the fresh new podcast from your friends over at Melee Stats, and the newly affiliated Melee Stats. You can give your precious bucks over to get some emotes.
Well, the
Very
emotes are on the
celebratory
way,
episode.
We have some in the pipe, but they're not quite approved yet. But they will be soon.
I'm celebrating the episode by casually sipping on one beer.
One.
And each time someone subs, I will do another sip. And obviously, I guess we got to get to it. I'm your host. Give me that wheat. Tournament seeder, top 100 extraordinaire. Not top 100 player, but top 100 extraordinaire. My co-host, AMBISINISTER.
What's up, guys?
Video essay extraordinaire. Top 100 video essay maker. And our host, the lovely Junebug, former top 100 player.
Oh, I'm the host?
You're the host?
Oh,
You're the guest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did you not know?
I was like, whoa.
I do think you said host.
Yeah. Okay.
You're dude, we're springing it on you.
Oh, dang. All right, let's get into it, I guess.
There's no better way to start your own podcast by just being the host of an existing podcast.
Yeah.
It's like how in like 80s sitcoms there'd be like one episode where these like neighbors show up and then like suddenly next week the neighbors have their own show.
Yep. Spinoff. We're gonna see the Junebug spinoff podcast.
Dude, I'd be happy.
Junebug's
that'd be
jank.
dope,
Yeah. I respect the podcast scene, but I don't. For at least right now, I don't think it's for me. I could not. It's already hard enough doing my own content schedule. Podcasting is a whole other thing to get into. But thank you for that introduction, Wheat.
Yeah, man. And if we had this podcast a few weeks ago, this would be like the most bearded podcast in Melee history.
I know. This was my reveal, guys. I got rid of my beard. Just got it shaved off. Yesterday? Oh my god! Yeah, time doesn't feel real anymore. But it was yesterday, and I'm still getting used to how my face looks with post beard or post large beard, I guess. But yeah, that was the reveal.
We talked about this before the show. As someone who has also shaved a pretty large beard down to nothing in the past few months, it is weird to see what your face looks like and to see how your face is shaped. You kind of really don't know when you have a full beard. You like kind of know what your face is, but you really don't know like where your face actually starts.
Yeah, you definitely get jawline inflation. Just like having that really sharp a beard usually just makes you look like you have a very sharp jawline, and then now look at me. No, it's not that bad now. But I
feel like the crimson chin. And another crimson colored figure in the Melee scene obviously had a pretty big weekend. We saw Ginger's Pot of Gold, May edition. This has been a pretty cool tournament, and this is we're kind of back to reality, right? The SCL has done our like influx of weekly content has now dribbled down to these wonderful net play majors. So I'm down to talk about this show. I don't know what's going on with our overlay, but
it's all good. I do want to briefly bring up one thing about the results of Ginger's Pot of Gold May edition, and that is a good friend of the show, making top 64 in winners, none other than Pepis Slime, making top 64 winners. And
wow!
Immediately DQing out of the event.
That's impressive, honestly. Yeah.
I forget what his bracket was. I just saw him in
Slime's bracket was Rocky DQing.
Oh. So Slime beat DQ Rocky and got top 64. Okay. Less impressive.
I was like, Slime, you did it.
Look, man, it happens. It's like when Armada would DQ or something because his controller wasn't working, and then suddenly Mike Hayes gets like 13th. That's a major.
Yeah.
It was always Mike Hayes somehow. I don't know like how that guy did it.
Didn't Vish also have a crazy run at some tournament during quarantine? I forget, but
Vish
Yeah,
always
so-
beat a bunch of people though.
Vish actually had a crazy run.
I think it was so it did benefit from a DQ. There's the thing is that like this speaks to Vish's ability to play the game really well. That I think there's a couple of different times that he beat some people to get some surprising results. He made it into LACS 3. So I think he kind of did a little pop off at that qualifier, and then I think it was Gallant. Like he had these good wins, but he also rode a kind of a little wave of DQs, and then like played H-Box and top 32 or something.
Yeah, which was the tournament he beat Aura? Was that Gallant or was that the LCS qualifier? I know one of them he beat Aura, and I thought that was a very, very crazy
Oregon.
result.
Aura too. Aura again.
Or the Peach player.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like an Oro who's like a Samus from MDVA.
Oh, yeah.
There's
like,
the
didn't know he still played. Huh.
dude. What if? But yeah. So Slime was definitely not the only notable storyline from this tournament.
Mhm.
So before we get into the winner of this, because I think there's so much to talk about this. Was there anything specific that you guys saw from this? Like any tournament runs or any really cool sets? Because I gotta say, one player who I think people love to like point out to us as someone to watch for, who we joked about as someone who we know, is Zealot. And as much as I know Zealot, the Colorado, Ohio Fox player, dude, what a run! 5th place, beating Fat Goku in the like most spaghetti, almost reverse 3-0 ever, beating Magi, Faust, Hungry Box through a DQ. Just one of those things where, like, I it's hard to pick out these players who are going to have this like huge pop off tournament, because I think that the landscape for Melee is just like so open right now that I think that there's so many people who could fill that void.
Yeah, it's so weird for me seeing Zealot in this bracket, because I think it's like we've all been in quarantine too long after I looked at this, because I saw Zealot had this crazy run through like, Magi, Fat Goku, Acid, Faust. And I was like, yeah, Zealot's good. That's reasonable. And I'm just like trying to imagine like putting myself in a frame of mind like, like in 2018 where someone of Zealot's level gets 5th at a tournament this large, and just like everyone is so able to enter so many events and so many players are popping off that normally don't have the ability to travel all over the place, where it's just like I can see a player like Zealot perform well and be like, oh yeah, he was due for a good tournament. Like this was very, very normal. But
I know Real Thing has been popping off recently, but also a really good performance. Right, I'm like surprised looking at this bracket. Like,
Yeah,
he beat Lucky, beat Polish, beat Bones, who's really good at the Falco Ditto.
Both is good at the Ditto, yeah.
And yeah, just like a crazy run. I know he won the Homemade Waffles Invitational.
Yeah, the Black Empowerment Invitational.
Yeah. So he's been popping off recently too, but a lot of good wins. Like, dang.
Yeah, the real thing is funny. I think it was very interesting because I feel like he was not that good on net play for like a really long time, and then the Black Empowerment Invitational happened, and then like he was immediately good on net play.
He was empowered.
He was empowered.
He just needed some empowerment.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, I think you guys are like spot on with this, and the cool thing is, I was thinking about this the other day, is that like I think Zealot and the Real Thing showcase the difference between results in the net play time and in the pre-net play age. So like I remember I would just like scour through all these results of any tournament, and every now and then you'd have regionals, and it'd be one player going through and getting all these like lower end top 100, maybe just outside top 100 wins, maybe like a top 50 win. And then you like, okay, this player is someone to look out for. Like the way that you would do it is someone performs well at a regional, they get a bunch of wins at a regional, then you look at them a major, and a major can have like all these people who pop off. And the funny thing is that like right now we have that every week because everyone can enter majors all the time because that's what this is, right? Like 100-person events, 200-person events, 300-person events where a good deal of the top players are entering. Like, yeah, it's so wild to see these people pop off. And in a different age, this Zealot tournament would be like Kevin Maples. How everyone was going nuts over Kevin Maples for like a month or two when he super popped off hard in August. But like currently as it stands, like the real thing is not someone who's grinding to the extent of like a Bobby Big Balls or S2J or something. He's not entering like a tournament a week. And because of that, I do think that if you were to ask people like who's the top 30 North American players, I don't know if he would necessarily make that cut. So yeah, I think it's interesting
right now. Yeah, it's wild just because of how many tournaments there are. Like I just remember the top 100 back when we had to really go off of was the LAN events. I just remember it being so difficult to place players over other players. Just because like there were only so many events, right? Even though they happen like every week, like there's only 52 weeks in like a year, right? It's like, you get like 2 top 50 wins and then you're like, you have a strong resume for the top 100, right? Whereas now, like you can get 2 top 50 wins in a week, right? Like there's like, you can enter 30 tournaments in a month. And it's just wild how like so many people just feel so good right now, but it's just an artifact of the fact that like the Overton window for what like a good resume of wins looks like is just like very different now from the way it was on LAN. Yeah, we talk a little bit about the difference, but
the frequency of these like giant tournaments is just allowing everybody to have the potential to rack up like wins. And, I mean, I'm not trying to discount from anybody because everybody's grinding and everybody's very good right now, which is why there's been so many like upsets and crazy bracket runs. But like so many people have gotten HBox wins and Ginger wins and Bobby Big Balls wins. Well, those are happening pre-pandemic, so we're not going to talk about.
I don't know about that one.
So everybody gets one, but yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. Two Saints. Can we talk about Two Saint?
Yeah, let's talk about Two Saint.
Two Saint. I mean, everybody. There's the meme. Aggressive Puff. Wow, so cool. Two Saint is one of the most fun players to play friendlies against. At every major pre-pandemic, we would end up playing like some friendly set, usually in a random location. And it would always be like really close, and I'd be surprised at the rest setups he got. He has so many weird rest setups that like people, I get people give him credit, but he's very good at landing the just sort of those scrappy rest setups, and a lot of puffs don't necessarily go for the scrap all the time. I think Puff is really good at scrapping, just based on the nature of her rest setups, but a lot of puffs won't necessarily force the scrap as much as Two Saint does. And he's gotten really good at it, and it's fun to see that style because for a really long time we had the sort of hot and cold HBox style as the forefront, like the really defensive, and then all of a sudden like he turns the switch and then he gets that scrap victory into conversion. But Two Saint's just kind of in your face. He does. He doesn't not play defensive at all. But I think the hot and cold ratio is a bit more hot. Definitely approaches sometimes where he doesn't need to. And, those
S2J sets were super fun because
super entertaining.
Dude, he was just all over him. And S2J is someone you talk about someone who can scrap. I think S2J, his ability to scrap is like pretty fundamental to his success. Like those two, what a joy to watch. I would not have called that as such a fun, like little. I mean, it's not really a rivalry, but seeing them play in grands and winners finals was quite the treat.
Yeah, actually, I think the S2J versus Puff sets they have a pretty high frequency of being a fun time. I think. I don't know if I would really make a judgment on whether SJ is good or bad at that matchup, but I do think that there's a suspicious frequency at which the sets that Puff players get with SJ being good is pretty high. Like I remember Vu had good sets with him, Michael had good sets with him. I remember he played Squibble at some regional, and then got really mad at the way that Squibble played back when Squibble was a Jigglypuff player. So I think that I just saw that they were in the path of each other, and I was like, I was already excited, right? I was like, SJ versus a Puff, this could be really fun. And what a fun set it was.
Did not disappoint.
Happy.
Yeah. Some tangent that I'm not sure if we want to get into, and you feel free to take the reins if you want on this. Do we want to talk S2J discourse? The whole controversy that happened.
See, the cool thing is that on our podcast we're pretty middle of the road. We don't need to get into stuff, and then our Discord. Hey, especially in our Patreon only channel, definitely discuss some stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I still hang on to this dumb idea that like I still want to like top players. I think S2J is able to learn from what the community said, and like just to give a little bit of a rundown without really getting into the nitty gritty of it, is that he was drinking, right? Is this the S2J discourse you were talking about?
I think so. I might provide a little bit of context if you.
Hit me.
Yeah. So, I think for a while now, I'm not sure how long this has been occurring. S2J was accused of sort of like bullying smaller players, smaller streamers, like sending people to smaller streams chats and sort of like insulting them very harshly on his stream. And, a lot of people say it's trash talk. It's like, oh yeah, like, I hate Sheik players. I hate Puff players. They're all so lame, stuff like that. And some of it felt like that, just like the tribalist trash talk, like, I hate everybody of this main. But some of it felt sort of personal. And I think the victims, the people that were receiving some of the harassment, definitely thought that it felt personal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, at least in my experience with trash talk, it's done with like friends, right? It's like, haha, you suck, haha, you're a noob, get better. Like there has to be some sort of social context there, because otherwise you're just insulting people. And that's that's always sort of mean. And I think in recent history, he said something about Sheik mains.
Yeah. I mean, like, so the thing is, with any streamer of that size, you have to realize your audience, and even if you aren't intentionally like saying, okay, I'm gonna raid this player, everyone go make fun of them. It's like, if you are a person with 20,000 followers on Twitter, whatever that level of player has, and you're like making fun of players who are like 7th on their local PR, and you don't really know them unless you are Melee Stats or someone who lives in that region, then it's like, you're not really punching up at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's even intentional. I don't think that he was intentionally trying to do this, but I think it's important to like say, even without being intentional, it's like good to take a step back and see it as a learning moment. Someone for his size, and like, I think that everyone can learn from that and grow from that. Now, will we still make fun of players? Yes. Will we still make fun of players who we are bigger than? I mean, I don't know. We have we're closing in on 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, so it's hard to be bigger than us right now.
I really just think at the end of the day, there's just like a way to do this tastefully, right? And I think that's I guess it's easier or more difficult for people to figure out, but
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that this stuff is terribly complicated. Like, don't be toxic.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment. There was an undercurrent of the situation that I didn't like, because I genuinely think that S2J having like acknowledged that his actions were bad, and he didn't want to hurt people, and he's trying to do better. I think most people in most cases can change, and I'm not
Mhm.
like, I don't think anybody's trying to cancel S2J, but there's this undercurrent of anytime somebody makes a mistake, like everybody or people just assume that they're trying to be, or they're getting canceled.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that in the S2J response. It's like, you're appeasing to the mob, man. I can't believe I looked up to you. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's just like part of growing and being a human to make mistakes and be like, yeah, okay, like I made a mistake. I'll try to do better. It sucks to make mistakes in front of a large audience, which unfortunately people with a large platform just will do. Um, but at the same time, making a mistake does not, and admitting that you make a mistake doesn't make you some sort of like weak person.
Yeah. Without going too much into it, because I think you really hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, luckily, we didn't really see that from S2J. We saw that from his fans more
Yeah.
so. Like, just assuming that you can't be told that something you did might have affected people without people saying, like, okay, I guess you wanted him out of the community. It's like, no. Like, if someone says something that hurts someone, you can just say that and they can change. They don't have to be banned, right?
Right.
And I think, like, if you do something wrong, and you might not know that it's wrong, I think that, like, that moment is not the worst thing that you can do. It's then when because you're ignorant, right? It's then when you are told, like, hey, this affects people. That's the real moment where you like diverge. There's like a fork in the road. It's like you can act like you're right the whole time, or you can just be like, okay, I get it. I didn't know, and now I do, and I'll do better. And that's more important to me, right? Like, these small inciting moments, definitely, they have some weight to them. But if someone does that and then is able to admit that they're wrong and grow from it, then I don't really mind that. And I think that that's what S2J did. I hope that people hold not only him, but like all of Melee to a higher standard, considering what we've been through. And if we want to continue to be a game community for this much longer, whatever 5-10 years, I think that's paramount to like surviving as a scene.
As well said.
Do you want to get into who the best puff is right now?
It was a difficult transition, but
the wheat transitions, they only work so well. Sometimes you just gotta jump right into one.
Yeah, so I do want to briefly shout out Edwin Budding, who is here in spirit doing production for us.
Edwin.
He wrote a very interesting article for his weekly Monday Morning Marth column, which you can find on maileystats.co. And in this article, he raised the inflammatory question of who the best puff is. And, it was quite an inflammatory question because, for the longest time, this answer to this question was obviously Hungrybox. But, Hungrybox not doing too hot right now. But it is a more interesting question than it seems, because Hungrybox, for all the not hot he's doing, is still doing quite well. He's beating strong players. He's still very much a top level player. He's just losing quite a bit more than he is generally used to. And on the flip side, there are two puffs that Anouk highlighted that were, rising to meet Hungrybox's level at the moment. And those two being Toussaint and Solo Battle from Europe. One of those players just won a big tournament, Ginger's Pot of Gold, as we just talked about. The other has been tearing up all the non-Fox players in Europe. So I think the discussion is very interesting. What do you guys think?
I might be a boomer, but I'm team HBox right now. Maybe if he reverts, I would want to see how he does when LAN comes back, because everybody's saying HBox washed based off these online tournaments, but HBox more so than other players, I think really, really benefits from being in person. Like that man channels the crowd and gets into some primal state in LAN. And I mean, I do think he's gotten worse for sure, just based on his play. Like just watching him miss stuff that he might have not missed on last or 2 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, I do think he's gotten worse, and I do think Melee sort of taken the back seat to his sort of streaming content creation ultimate grind. So it's right now. I still think it's HBox, but if he continues not prioritizing Melee, then there's a possibility that one of these other puffs is going to take over.
Yeah. So I want to do just a little like brain teaser, like a little game. I am going to do two separate things. So HBox was in this tournament. He did DQ, as we said. He DQ'd versus Zealot, and I think that was maybe winners top 64. Maybe that was pools. So we're gonna do two little tests. I'm gonna go through HBox's bracket, and I'm gonna go through Two Saints bracket. So we're gonna say, would HBox have won with the same bracket as Two Saint, or would HBox have? How would HBox do with his own bracket? So let's do his bracket. So he would have played Zealot, which I don't think it would be a Harry Potter moment, but who knows, right?
I don't know.
It is a box fox, which is like,
Box
dude,
Fox.
that is scary right now for
That is
HBox.
fast.
I mean, you play a box fox 2-1 either way, and either way he gets like 4,000 subs. So that's a toss up. His bracket though, it's right after it's Bobby Big Balls, who we've seen give him some trouble in the most recent sets.
He has beaten him before.
Yeah,
right?
It's been more HBox favored, but definitely this was like late 2020. Yeah, HBox was losing a few sets to Bobby Big Balls, so I don't think it's a. Yeah, I think HBox would win that. I don't think it's a definite win. We get Two Saint, who already beat him last time they played at Gallant Spring, I think. So that's scary. And then suddenly, you know, their brackets become mixed because that'll be the same one. So it'd be the real thing, and then S2J twice.
Yeah. Besides the Two Saint, like the toss up is really the head to head. In that bracket, a lot of the similar matchups as Two Saint after that, the exact same matchups after that, and then you have Zealot before that. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that whoever won HBox Two Saint would have probably won the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that is a scary bracket for HBox, and the thing is, this is like the least scary version of what it could have been. Because he would have played, so the real thing beats Lucky, beats Polish, beats Bones. Bones beat Ben. Like, there's a different situation here where HBox Ben is winner's semis, which is currently 8-3 in Ben's favor.
Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't know Bones beat Ben. That's a really good win for him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, like, this bracket, luckily, is like the least scary thing for HBox as it could have been. And yet, as we go through it, dude, still not guaranteed. Like, I don't know if HBox could have won this bracket. I think he could have. I wouldn't bet money on it.
I actually think S2J would probably be the hardest.
I think Two Saint and S2J are both super hard for him right now.
Yes. And, you know, like, what happened the last time Hunger Box and S2J played? I feel like S2J had to have won that, right? I feel like I can't remember the last time this was, but I feel like the last time they played was the S2J victory.
It's just like order of magnitude at this point, because I know he won, and I don't remember if it was a 3-0 or not.
I have so many LAN sets corrupting my memory, and I'm like, yesterday would never beat HBox.
Yeah. It's a very different world.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'd like to have that LAN brain right now.
Yeah.
So I will say, speaking of LAN brain, I'm willing to be the guy that you know, maybe defends the boomer HBox perspective a little bit here. And I'd like to point out that Two Saints bracket was Ober, Joey Donuts, Bobby Big Balls, The Real Thing, S2J, S2J. And as far as Two Saints' personal strengths goes, it kind of feels like it's close to the ideal bracket for him specifically. You know, like if I remember right, the last time Toussaint played Slug was a Slug victory, right? I think that Toussaint is a very funny player to evaluate relative to the other puffs because he doesn't really win the good puff matchups so much as he wins by being a superior player to his opponent. So I think that this is sort of a thought experiment that might feel a little insidious to me because I feel like it's a little bit specifically crafted to make it feel more Toussaint favored rather than Hungrybox favored. I do think that with a different bracket, this might have been quite a bit more difficult for Toussaint compared to the somewhat scary bracket that Hungrybox would have had he not DQ'd at this tournament. So, what do you guys think? I think that Toussaint, he's a very, very strong player, and I'm not trying to discredit his victory here, but I do think that this might be this specific tournament meant to make Toussaint seem like the best puff in the world.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really good run. I think the HBox DQ is definitely the huge asterisk here. Like if Toussaint wins this tournament over HBox, like beating HBox in quarters, or yeah, I guess it would have been quarters. I feel like that's an actual that topic is just forefront of the meta. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, is Toussaint the best puff now? Because that's usually how the discourse works. But yeah, right now I'm Team HBox. Yeah,
Ambi, you're right on the money here because the way I evaluate these players, I mean, both of them, it's like we haven't seen Toussaint a ton. What we've seen from him in 2021 has been really good, and of course, we can't go a week without not talking about HBox somehow. So, we know how HBox has been performing recently. But before all of this happened, when we were able to play LANs, I really did evaluate Toussaint as this, player who could have, these burst wins against top players who I don't think would, lose to, a Michael or something like that. He had that See Me on LAN where he beat Ginger and Fiction. I think he traded sets with both of them. But that wasn't surprising to me. Those were top 15, top 20 players that he was beating at the time. And he also has tournaments where he lost to Sharks because he DI'd F Smash and he died at 55. He lost to Cool Lime. He went Fox game 3 versus Cool Lime. Wow. And just started playing with one hand. It's it's not even specifically an Icy's thing. I do think, Eric, you're right. He is not the puff player who I expect to just play down the matchup line. That's a Michael type thing. That's something I would have said for HBox. But dude, we look at it. HBox is having trouble versus Peach. He's losing to Blue's Clues.
He hates Peach. I think
Peach.
The heavy floaty archetype that's sort of been on the rise recently. The Peaches and the Yoshis. Have been giving HBox a lot of trouble. And I haven't figured out why that is yet. It might be just personal preference. I mean, I don't like playing against heavy floaties. I think a lot of those matchups can be very it requires a lot of neutral interactions to win, and that can be very stressful. So I wonder what HBox's take on those matchups are. I know he hates Peach. I'm not sure about Yoshi.
It's weird because without this. HBox was the type of person who, if you played a certain character, you had no chance, right? It was him and Armada who, if you were a character under this point in the tier list, you would have to go through one of them in your bracket, and that was probably what stopped you from getting top 3 or winning a major or something like that, which is why we saw Axe and stuff win majors. And now he doesn't have that. So, what does he have? What sets HBox apart from Toussaint or Solobout or something like that?
I think something that you two have both touched on is the fact that Toussaint is so high variance, and high variance definitely can hurt Toussaint a lot when he gets one of those problem matchups. I don't necessarily think he's the best versus ICs or Fox, Then HBox, I wouldn't like HBox's place if there's like a spectrum of all the Puff players, and Mr. Consistent is like Michael, where like he's gonna do the same thing 100% of the time, and like a very safe way. And two Saints on the other side of the spectrum, uh, or actually, I don't even know who the most aggressive Puff.
Hey, Big Kid or Leighton.
Yeah, Big Kid's very aggressive. HBox is somewhere in the middle there. It's some tournaments he really seems on, and some tournaments he doesn't. But even on his bad days, he's still one of the best players in the world, one of the best Smash players of all time, and I think that shows a lot. Just how consistently good HBox is, even when he's playing bad. And honestly, even when he was the best player in the world, he looked like he was playing bad. So like quite frequently, and he would just pull things out. And
got 3-0'd by Duck.
Yeah, 3-0'd by Duck into a mediation reverse 3. Is that a reverse 3-0?
I don't think it's a reverse 3-0 if you 3-0 them next
Yeah,
set.
yeah, it's just a response 3-0. Like, all right, good job. Here's mine. But yeah, I think we're definitely seeing that just like sort of continue for HBox. Like even when he's down, he's not out type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Like, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I don't want us to get off this topic without talking at all about solo battle. I just think that would be too sad.
Yeah.
So
shoutouts to Europe.
Yeah, so I do think solo battle is a very promising player. I don't know if I were Edwin Budding that I would have included him in this article, but I definitely think that I feel like I watch solo battle, and it seems like he's the one that's going to push the character in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's the archetypical, the European type player that like actually pushes as much advantage as they can, rather than just try to outplayer you all the time the way that like a lot of the Western players do. And I think the big problem with solo battle is that I don't have 100% faith that solo battle would be able to get past Rich in a bracket.
No.
I think that but that feels like not the worst thing to me, because he's so good at so many matchups, and he's like kind of like the Michael in the sense that he's relatively consistent, and he has like his set of tools which are really, really optimized, but he has this one matchup that's really common that he struggles with.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he just needs to get better at one matchup, right? Like, how hard can it be? Obviously, like, that's a huge oversimplification, but
who does Rich play?
Rich is a Fox player.
Okay.
Rich is a melee stats patron and Fox player.
got that first part is the most important.
Shouts to Rich, love that guy. But yeah, so I think that Solo struggles versus Fox, and I think that knowing how Solo plays, I expect him to make many optimizations in that matchup as Puff in the future. So I definitely think that especially like once LAN majors come back, he definitely is a player to look out for, because I can definitely see him like doing some shit you've never seen before.
So I've been thinking about this, and the results will dictate that solo battle has a little bit of a rough time with the top Foxes of Europe. And there's a couple different things I think about this. So number one is that I think the Foxes who we're losing to are very good.
Yes.
Pipsqueak, Mint, Nikki, I think they're all good versus Puff, and I think that they all are. Like, I think Pipsqueak, we know how good he is. I think Nikki and Mint are both top 100 players. I don't think those are necessarily bad losses. And the way I view his play right now is that for this problem matchup, we are seeing a different play style than we've seen from however many months ago, right? Like, if you watched his sets even a few months ago, he was counterpicking Foxes. He wasn't counterpicking the Dreamland, right? Like, wasn't he counterpicking to Yoshi's? So, we've been seeing him now counterpick the Dreamland, and in my mind, it's like that fiction quote about Billy Bo Beep that we really love, which is like, Billy's playing worse. That's how I can tell he's learning. So I love the idea of Solo not wanting to be one of those like not a Dreamland Puff type things, like we had not a FD Marth, because that doesn't really bring you anywhere, right? And this is the perfect time to do this during a time when LAN is pretty much non-existent. So I have hopes for him, and you are right. He is such a grinder. It's like I used to think that there were these people who were very good in terms of like labbing stuff out, and then I found out that those players were just like very good players in the future. I thought Sechi was always just like this lab guy, Sechi, and now we know Sechi is like top 50 last year. Who knows right now? So I think you're right. Like the way that he plays other matchups is so wildly different than the perceived common Puff way, and he is able to succeed in that way. Like we talk about if like Michael's good versus Puff matchups, like good versus every Puff matchup, and as Toussaint is like bad versus traditionally good Puff matchups. I think Solo Battle is like a Z-axis type thing. Yeah, like I can't put him on one side because I do think he's good versus traditionally good matchup, but I also think that he's able to play those in a unique way. Dude, if you watch him versus Falco, he loves to like just like short hop, drift back to like bait them into rolling and then rest them when they roll next to him. It's like the weird little things that he does tends to be so far off from how you would see other good Puffs play matchups, where I think that the Fox thing, that's just another piece of the puzzle. Like, I think that once he is able to play that matchup in a way where maybe it's not his own unique way, maybe he borrows more from the traditional like Puff versus Fox rule book. Dude, I think he's going to be great. I think he's great now.
Yeah. I also think we all said European Foxes right now are amazing. And
they're cracked.
I would say that like specifically even better against Puff, like on average than the American Fox. Like to dumb it down, I think taking less risk in that matchup really pays off. And I think the European Foxes are really good at pressing their advantage. But I would love to see like what was that Pakistani Tekken player's name? Arslan Ash or something?
Oh, Arslan Ash, yeah.
Like an Arslan Ash situation with Solo Battle, where he's like, he's not necessarily the best in Europe, but then he comes to America and, he gets like the bracket of his life and is just taking names. I think that could be possible for a player like Solo Battle.
Arslan Ash is funny because it's like the same AMSA story, right? Of like Arslan not being like dominant in Pakistan.
Yeah, AMSA is also like that. Or yeah, I guess AMSA just wins now, but
yeah, and the difference was that like everyone was like, "Damn, he's like not even number one in Pakistan, and he's killing everyone." And then like a bunch of people from Pakistan come over, and we find out that they're all like top 10. So who knows? Maybe Finland will do that. Maybe Mayhem 092 will end up being the top 10 in the future.
I remember the legendary, was it Apex 2015 set between Mayhem and Swiftbase? That's a very underrated Swiftbase set if you haven't seen it. It was a very, very close set. Swiftbase won it, and then he popped off around the venue. He like did a full lap around the Apex venue.
Wow.
It was legendary. Shout out to Mayhem.
Dude, you love your Swiftbase sets.
Dude, there's so many good ones. I'm going to make a video about that.
Let's put a final mark on this. Put your money where your mouth is. June, you said H-Box is the best Puff, right?
Yep.
I feel like now one of us has to not say H-Box to be cool.
Okay.
Oh, Eric. Okay. So I think H-Box is the best Puff, except for winners round 2 of pools.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll make a stipulation to the H-Box. Sorry, the H-Box being the best Puff. H-Box's skill acceleration curve right now is not as high as the other Puffs. Like, I think the other Puffs are improving at a rate that's higher than H-Box. But H-Box's accumulation of skill is just so high that he is far ahead right now, I think. But it could change.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
I guess I gotta say H-Box too. I mean, like, the fact of the matter is that if he can get to winners quarters or something like that, I'm scared for everyone around him. To the point where like I think maybe in like a huge tournament, right, in like an LACS level tournament, he's able to beat the SFATs and Pew Pews and Captain Face Rolls of the world. which is maybe not something I can guarantee for Toussaint. But then I think the people who give HBox trouble would also give Toussaint trouble. So like I don't know if like HBox has problem matchups that Toussaint doesn't, and that's what it comes down to, right? But the fact that we even are having this conversation is wild. But yeah, I'll put the stamp on it. I think HBox is the best puff right now.
And with that, let's move to a segment where we ask a bunch of questions similar to the last one we just asked. So we don't have Edwin Budding here to run the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange. So we have the next best thing, which is me, Ambi. And we are going to be running the Ambi Stock Exchange. So the way this works is I'm going to ask you guys a bunch of questions, and you guys are going to give me an answer to what you think the question is and a reason. And these questions will be themed around whether or not you think the value of something will go up or down. So the first segment here that we're going to be doing is buy or sell. And we will start with Wheat, because he's our defending champion. So Wheat, tell me, are you buy or sell for top player Smash coaching services?
I am going to be sell for the services itself, unless you mean like a general like coaching as a service. Then I'd be buy on that. I think that there are so many good players who are giving coaching lessons for such affordable prices. If you want to talk about like an organization of something that brings them all together, like a Metafy, I'm not sure if I see that lasting in the future, but like the idea that you can get someone who is like 80th best in the world and they give you like, you give them $25 an hour for coaching. That like, dude, that's so good, right? The level of depth in Smash is so deep that like all these people can get really good coaching and improve their base level game so much without having to really spend like $200 an hour to talk to PPMD about like why you're shuffling wrong.
Yeah. So now I answer.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
This is a hard one for me because I was involved in this discourse a bit, and then it got hit through the.
You should recuse yourself.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about this. I have done coaching services before, and I've thought a lot about the way coaching works currently, and shout outs to Ambi, that article you wrote on comparing the different coaching styles. I think that's there's a lot of conversations in the Smash community that need to happen with coaching because I think that there is a big chance for almost every level of experience of player to get involved with coaching. There's a lot of old school players that I think would be great coaches when it comes to things like competitive mentality or recognizing habits. And I don't necessarily think that somebody has to be a current top player to be a good coach. And to even go further, I don't think being a top player makes you a good coach. They're different skill sets. But the way that the Smash community treats their top players, we hold them in very high regard. So even though my heart would love for this to be a sell, I think it's going to be a buy. I think there's going to be a lot more like people offering coaching services. It gives top players an opportunity to supplement their income. But I would love other people to get involved in coaching and to be able to sort of have that discussion about what should coaching consist of. Do you want to like? There's so many aspects of Smash. Like, do you want to really drill down on one interaction for 20 minutes? Do you want to just have like a general game plan? Do you want to really focus on developing training flow charts? Do you want to make sure they're learning efficiently? There's so many different ways to coach, and I think there's not really that many conversations happening about it because everybody's like, oh, good player, good coach. And that was sort of what I was getting at when I was involved in that discourse. But people were like, wow, you don't think Leffen's a good player, or you don't think he's worth, however much he's charging? And I'm like, well, I don't know how much I think it's worth, but I do think that if you're paying for top player coaching, you're paying for the brand. And top players can monetize their bid pretty efficiently, and for that reason, I think it's going to keep occurring. But I would like there to be more just player coaching in general and a discussion of what people need in coaching. And I think that would be good. I think that would be a healthy discussion to have.
All right.
He should be disqualified from that point. He went over it as a lot of time.
I will limit you guys in the future. This one was my bad. I should have.
Edwin would have yelled.
We have a
dude,
limit. What?
Edwin would have yelled at you.
He would have yelled at you, but I just thought the
I was
the
involved
content
in
of what you were saying was so
discourse.
good. I didn't want to interrupt you, so I'll let it slide this time.
Thank you.
So, Jude, let's move on to the next buy or sell. So the next one is Sheik versus Captain Falcon. I think Sheik does. Buy or sell?
Sheik versus Captain Falcon. Different levels of play, different results. Low to mid level, I think Sheik kind of destroys Falcon. And at the high level, kind of like a lot of matchups that Sheik has specifically. I think Sheik Marth is kind of like that too. I think Sheik Falcon's pretty even. With the prevalence of CC right now, I think Falcon does a lot better against Sheiks that used to just anti-air Falcon for free and like throw out F tilt and hit a dash dance. Now Falcon's crouch grabbing you for F tilting. I do think Sheik crouch is really busted in that matchup. Like I think you can crouch nair, power shield nair off crouch. You could gentleman. If Falcon ever gentlemans you, he should die, which is like a very bad situation. I guess I would still give it like 55-45 Sheik, just because of like how strong the down throw tech chase is in the current meta. I don't think like there's great counterplay on the Falcon side to it. No wake up shine. He kind of just has to hope that the Sheik messes up.
All right.
It's bored.
So what about you, Wee? Are you a buy or a sell? June seems to be a buy.
Wait, is that if Sheik Falcon?
Yeah, no, 55-45. That's a buy.
Okay,
that's a buy. I'm going to sell. I think that the whether or not people how they view the matchup right now, like what it actually is, I don't know if I can really put anything on that. I think June kind of got into that. I will say, the idea to random people that like Sheik obliterates Falcon, like the Reddit level discourse, I think will die off. I think Falcon is super good. I think at a higher level, I think you're right. It's one of those things where Sheik might not do what better at a higher level. Falcon might have a bit more toss up at a higher level. And biggest thing is that, like, dude, we have so many good Falcons right now. And when I got into the game, you thought that Sheik Falcon was busted because you saw Muta King just like beat up every single Falcon. And you don't get that right now. Instead, you watch like maybe Plup and like he might play Wizzy or something. And just because like the prevalence of top Falcons and the not prevalence of Sheiks at that level to contest them, dude, I don't think Redditors will be saying it. And because of that, that is how I'm going to read the question. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the last buy or sell. We'll start with Wheat. Are you buy or sell on Smash video essays?
Okay. I'm buy on them. I do wonder, like, what point do we get to where these aren't events anymore, right? But the reason why that's a buy is because that's a great thing, dude. If people are like, I'm sad if people don't think that a Melee Stats long form video is like headline news or something. But if that's the case, that means that you can get content from like, dude, Turn Down for Walt we talked about. David Kimball made that one about the before Melee's production cycle and all that. Like, I think we're getting to the point where Melee content is taken for granted in a sense, but that just means that we have so many people making great content. I'm gonna buy it.
Arjun, how about you?
Yeah, this is a super buy from me, and this is a very biased question to put a bunch of video essays or towards about a bunch of video essays. I think there's so much content in Smash. I've barely scratched the surface in some of my content, and I feel like there's so much to do for like PM and Brawl and Melee and just analyzing the game, analyzing the history, analyzing players. I just there's so much, and I don't see it running out anytime soon. Like it's just like an gold rush. There's so much content for people who want to create it. That's the hard part. You have to create it, but I think there's a lot, and yeah, I don't see that running out anytime soon, especially with the amount of history we have. I mean, we've been around for 2 decades. There's some diamonds that I'm sure people will mine soon, but there's so much stuff at the surface. Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next segment, which is, are you buying the dip? So there are 3 questions for this segment, and the idea behind these are things which have fallen in value in recent times, and I want you guys to tell me if you think it's going to go back up, and it's a good time to buy this undervalued thing that has dropped, or if it's going to keep going down and we should just let it keep going. So Jun, we'll start with you. Are you buying the dip on P+?
Oh, you want that one for me specifically? Nice. I mean, P plus is solid. They're very biased. I have played PM for the same amount of time that I played it Melee. Actually, me and Rishi started playing those, or I started playing those with Rishi around 2012. P plus, I think, is the best iteration of PM. It's kind of suffering right now due to a few reasons. One is being delay based. It doesn't have rollback.code, which is very good. Turns out, we didn't know it while we were playing delay based, but we knew we know now. Whether P plus is allowed at majors, I would love. I mean, I hope that the people that were very vocal about save Smash, free Melee, will put their money where their mouth is and have P plus at their tournaments. We'll see. I know some tournaments are almost definitely going to have it. The Nintendo partnered ones. I'm holding my breath, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have P plus still. Yeah, but I'm do I buy the dip? Yeah. Well, I think if people will host LAN tournaments and not be giant hypocrites, P plus is coming back.
All right, how about you? You buying the dip?
So I think P plus is probably the lowest it's going to get. I do think that there's going to be a rise. I don't think I'm buying the dip. I think it's going to have a rise. I don't think that the Melee community, the Smash community at large, will be able to back their words up that they said in November and December. I really think that all this thing about how we hate Nintendo and stuff, dude, the second a LAN tournament's back, I don't think P plus is going to be there. P plus was huge when it right before Slippy came out. I remember playing that delay based versus Edwin. Yeah, I mean it needs a push. And the push could be majors, and the push could be rollback. I was gonna say both of those, but I'm not gonna buy. I think that the Melee community is so insular in what they really care about, which is Melee. I mean, if Mango starts playing it, I'll buy, but I'm not gonna see. I don't see that happening anytime soon.
All right, let's move on to the next one. You're starting this one. So, are you buying the dip on CRTs?
Oh man, dude! So this, you have to see where the market is on this right now, right? I think that we will have CRT events, and I think that we will have a lot more monitor events than we used to have. So it all depends on where CRT is currently valued, right? We went from up until 2020 when we had LANs, we had one big LCD event a year maybe. So if CRT is valued at that, I'm not buying the dip. I think CRTs, we're going to have tournaments with them. I think we're going to have stuff that is on monitors. You know, what was it, the Big House or something, where like tournament was on CRT and friendlies were on monitors. I definitely think that big tournaments were like really trying to push for monitors. It just might be easier for them. So, sure, I guess I won't buy the dip. I think we'll still have like mostly every regional will have CRTs, but maybe if you only go to like big majors, you might think of we're like a monitor thing.
Arjun, how about you?
Yeah, so I guess I won't buy the dip for this one because CRTs for majors are definitely a logistical nightmare. Just like transporting that many CRTs. We've done it, but the fact that we might not have to anymore, I think, is very enticing to a lot of TOs. But you know, small, mid-sized tournaments, most Smashers have a CRT at their house. I'm sure they don't mind lugging that around for short distances. So it's I guess that's a is that a buy the dip? Is that a sell? I'm not sure.
It's hard to know where CRTs are currently valued. Something that we like haven't used in
So
18
long.
months,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, 14 months.
All right, let's go to our final buying the dip question. So we're gonna lead with June. All right, are you buying the dip, counterpicking the ice climbers with a mid tier, specifically Ganondorf?
Oh, I've done that before. I've counterpicked Ice Climbers with Ganondorf because I don't like Sheik Ices. That being said, Ganondorf also gets chain grabbed by Ices. He does have an easier time separating them and can push their shield very far. But I think in theory, craft world, Sheik should do better than Ganon. It's just Ganon feels easier. So if I'm playing against an Ices, I might go Ganon because I am out of practice and retired. But do I buy the dip here? I don't. I don't think most competitive players are out of practice and retired. So no.
All right, how about you? You buying the dip?
Uh, no, I'm not going to buy the dip. I think that I'm like an Ice Climbers believer in a way, just because I think that everyone else is going to write Ice Climbers off for not being able to wobble. And I think that they're a definitively worse character. But I also think that like people would just have this like misguided confidence going in. So I think people are going to be like, yeah, dude, I don't have to learn Ganon for this. And then they'll just like go down 2-0 and then go Ganon and then lose. So I don't know. I also like I don't know what you mean by mid tier because I think the only people are like Ganon and maybe Luigi. I don't know if I see people being like time to break out my pocket Yoshi.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to buy. I think that people are going to have so much confidence that they don't need to learn this matchup, and I don't think it's going to work out for them. But who knows? They also can't wobble. So
yeah, on semi-related Ice Climbers discourse, I do think Ice Climbers are a lot better than people give them credit for. Like it's like, oh, they're so bad without wobble.
yeah, dude, people are calling them like 15th best character, and
like no, dude,
no.
that character just died. Ice Climbers just killed a character from the middle of the stage with a smash attack at 60. Like that's not a bad character.
All right, so we're moving on to our final segment and also our final question. And I'll spoil a little bit for you. You guys are tied at the moment, so this one will decide it.
Ooh.
So our last question is the segment is called Market Watch, and it's not a yes or no. It's an open-ended question. So I want you to tell me, what are you looking out in the market for? And the question for this is, which nationally unranked MDVA player do you think will break out at the next LAN major? So let's start with Wheat. What do you think about this?
Okay. So there's a long history of nationally ranked MDVA players performing well. I famously called Bob Bomb as a good player, then he stopped playing. But he beat Chudat, and I called it before he beat Chudat, like a day before. I was like, he's so good. I think RTDLU is currently MDVA, and I think he's super good. But in terms of like people who are actually going to be at a major and play melee at a major and play melee singles at a major, I guess I have to go Bones, someone who I think is super good. I also think that anytime people complained about Falco like being brain dead on netplay, they were just like not wanting to admit that that Bones is good. I think it was always Bones slander, but dude deserves it. Sure, let's say 13th place at SmashCon 2022.
Wow.
All right, June, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the MDVA players is so weird for me. It's like, oh yeah, I know Bobby. I like saw him the other day. Like it's yeah, but Bones is also very solid. But I like in my mind, it's not like breakout because he's been playing for so long. But yeah, right now, I think there's a couple really solid players that I've been looking at. Tyler Swift, who's just the Pikachu by word of mouth. Zane's stream is regularly featuring him, and Bizem, who's taken an HBox win recently. Sort of this up and coming Yoshi, and both I think are performing pretty well. Have gotten good wins, and I'm excited for. I guess I can't. Marg already had like a breakout tournament at Genesis, didn't he? But yeah, both those players have been doing really well during the LAN era, and yeah, I'm excited to see what they could do.
All right, that concludes the Ambi Stock Exchange. I'm happy to say for the first time, Wheat has been defeated.
No,
You
defeated me last week, man.
What? Did I really?
Yes.
For the
I
second
totally
time.
didn't deserve that, dude.
Yeah,
That's
you
why I
didn't deserve
didn't
it, so I
remember, 'cause I thought you
allocated
should've
half
won
of your
that one.
time to me.
For the
Okay.
second time.
Second time. The first time where he actually, I think, deserves to lose.
Hey.
All right, so June, as your reward, you get 1 minute of uninterrupted time. So feel free to talk about, I don't know, whatever you feel like for a minute.
Oh, I didn't expect this. And not plug myself, right? Because that
Well,
would
you can
be
plug yourself a second time at the
a
end
second.
of the show.
Yeah, because I was
But
gonna do that at
if
the end.
you really want to plug something, you can get 2 advertisements in with your reward here.
What can I talk about for a minute? I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank all my fans, all 3 Junebug fans in the chat. Junebug stock definitely on the rise, maybe. Yeah, I didn't. 1 minute's a lot of time.
It is a lot of time. I only used 30 seconds last time. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I forcibly took 30 seconds from Ambi.
Yeah. You guys can have some of that time because I don't know what to say.
I want to give a shout out to K80. I don't know if I can say that word. Someone who subbed to us with Prime. Our first sub.
Yay!
Hell yeah. Yeah, so we have affiliate. So if you want to sub to us, you're getting to most soon.
Yeah, sub to Melee. I'll use that.
I will do a celebratory stip.
Affiliates?
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
I'll throw it back over to you. We could transition to LAN Locals Return.
Yeah, dude. So we have seen over the past few weeks, we've seen a couple locals, mostly in the Northeast, mostly on the East Coast, really just come back. And I don't know what like fully comeback means, but these locals are getting like 20, 30 entrants. I believe this coming week there's going to be a lot more locals. Like we saw one in Austin recently. I think there's some more across America. But as we are currently speaking, a local in New Jersey, a 39-person local in New Jersey is going on. And this is kind of a really interesting thing. Jersey, always a weird region, but it's like time to put your money where your mouth is for these players. And I am so excited to see when LAN comes back, how do these online people do? Before we get to that, though, like, how do we feel about this general idea of LANs already popping up? And like, what is the future of LAN locals? June, you have any ideas on where you see this going?
I mean, from a safety standpoint, it's very hard to ensure everybody's vaccinated. That is,
Mhm.
I mean, we can't ask for their vaccination cards. At least I don't think so. I think that that's like healthcare data. It's like protected. But yeah, it's almost like an honor code, which I guess there's a lot of social interactions that Smashers go through that are based on an honor code. Uh, so I like hope they will be safe. Obviously, we can't like ensure they're safe, and but once you know, I think it would be really messed up to lie about being vaccinated. You know, like who goes to a Smash tournament? It's like, yeah, I'm vaccinated. Like, um, that would be unfortunate. But I think I for one, as somebody who is vaccinated, I'm
Hell
very
yeah.
excited for the prospect of going back to locals or yeah, locals and nationals, and yeah, I think that would be it's really fun. They're really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I just hope people wear masks, dude. I know that the CDC said that people that are vaccinated
Oh
don't have
yeah,
to wear
we should
masks.
all probably wear masks.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think if you're going to a local, I think it's fine, especially if you're vaccinated. I do think that you know the rules about social distancing, about wearing masks, have been laxed a bit in recent weeks. But I really think that as long as the tournaments still enforce that stuff, I'm more okay with it.
Mhm.
Uh, I do think that like complete return to normal. Like I'm just thinking about like the last time I went to Xanadu, man, and like there's just like 60 people crammed next to each other, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's
Yeah, I don't think
terrible.
that's ever happening. I guess like one good it sucks I don't even want to say it, but like I think people are starting to consider the fact that we might have not been sanitary to begin with, so might
Yeah,
as well just start being a bit more
Yeah.
cleaned out.
I think there's going to be a lot of things. It's like the birthday candle thing, right? It's like a lot of things we're like, why do we do this? That are just going to end. Unfortunately, passing around a bottle of Faderade, having all the homies sip from it,
I
that
know.
might be a thing of the past. We might
Well,
need to figure out a new way to do that.
I don't know if you guys remember like the major like flu or like the major sickness, like after a major, people would wear it like as a badge of honor, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I just got sick. I was like, yeah,
Evola.
because we were transmitting like just bacteria around. We were
yeah,
very very unsanitary.
Yeah.
And now there's a very deadly virus that we probably shouldn't be transmitting around. So
Yeah.
definitely need to limit all those sort of degen activities that we used to do.
Yeah,
dude.
it's
I just
it's
I just
weird.
remember after Genesis, like right before quarantine, everyone got really really sick, and there was this unhinged conspiracy theory that like COVID actually started at Genesis, and because it
It's
was
like
like
the
before any of
bottom
the
of the
reported
main
cases or
conspiracy
whatever, and it
iceberg.
was
Just
like, no, dude, I'm very certain I had COVID. Uh, I just remember the discourse around about because the post Genesis flu was really really bad, and it's just so funny thinking about how
Yeah.
ridiculously scary that is to think about now.
Yeah, like Bobak being very sick holds like all of the clues to like what we've it unlocks this like history of COVID that we didn't even know before. Yeah, it's weird, and I think the fact that Genesis was, for all intents and purposes, the last really big event. I'm not going to count CEO Dreamland in that because that was like a nightmare event where I don't know. What a weird event in of itself. But yeah, I mean, like I look back at Genesis and I'm like, oh yeah, that was scary. Now that I think about it, and I think that will inform how a lot of people think about going back to tournaments. Dude, I love watching LANs. I'm so excited that I get to watch this tournament. And at the same time, I probably wouldn't do this. I still get weird when I eat inside at a restaurant. I still get kind of weird when I eat outside at a restaurant. I've only done it like under 5 times. And as someone who's like 3 weeks out from fully vaccinated, 3 weeks out from second shot, dude, it still feels weird. So it's going to be one of these things like, we're gonna have anxiety about little
Yeah,
tiny things, dude. I saw a coworker's face the other day and I was like having heart palpitations.
yeah.
I know that they're vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. Why is this happening? So once we get over that, I do think that LANs will be able to be enjoyed more. I think the cool thing is that probably by the time we get a major, just because of how much has to happen on the back end, is I think we'll be at a totally different place. But I don't know, man.
I think probably getting venues is super hard right now. I know that it's like pretty rough, like just trying to get venues for like a wedding. It's not fun at the moment.
Oh yeah, because there's that whole backlog of everybody's lives just being on pause.
Right. So it's probably rough. Even when things are happening again, I feel like they won't start happening for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that we'll have to get used to, and I mean, really the only thing that we can say is to proceed with safety. Reminds me of a Lost Melee Stats Deep Dives episodes where I will not name this host to protect his identity, to protect their identity, so you don't even know who it could be. We definitely said COVID's not going to be a big deal, just wash your hands and be safe. So I'm getting like echoes of this right now, because I'm like, as long as you proceed with caution, this should be fine. But dude, it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's hard to say that, like the scope is just different. Like the world's different forever.
It's impossible to tell. Yeah. I will watch the streams. Further than that,
I just hand sanitized up because I got a little.
Just hearing that made me uncomfortable again, dude.
Yes. The Lost Melee Stats COVID denial episode.
I don't know if you guys know why this is, and I think somebody told me, but I wasn't sure. Like all hand sanitizers kind of smell like tequila now. Is there like a reason for that?
I just think we haven't had an excuse to drink tequila in a really long time.
No, I have been drinking more tequila. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's like, didn't they lax the production for hand sanitizer, and then they're just like throwing out whatever? Dude, I swear they're just like putting half bottles of hand sanitizer in like Tito's vodka and just shipping it out. Because you ever get the hand sanitizer and it just like spills over your hand like water?
Oh my god, yeah, this is very liquidy hand sanitizer. I'm holding the brand so you guys can't see it, but very, very poorly made hand sanitizer.
The demand is probably just so high, dude.
Yeah, and I like distilleries might be making them, but they're probably not equipped to make.
It's like when we didn't have masks, it's just like random places were making masks.
Yeah,
just like not even like clothing manufacturers, just like, I guess I'm getting a mask from this person now. It's like they're like, we're shutting down production and we're gonna start producing masks. It's like, okay, I have a Firestone mask now.
This is the new normal. Yeah. And I'm not also the another logistical nightmare is if strains continue as they are in some countries, then that might require, sort of like regular vaccinations, like every 6 months or a year or so. And that's also very hard to track.
You're completely right. Not only is that hard to track, but let's say we get to a future where Genesis is happening, Genesis 8, or CEO. There's already a CEO that's happening. CEO is going to be in December. We don't know if it's going to feature Melee just yet. I don't know if any information's out there, but like there are going to be events soon, and we don't really know an end date on when our vaccines are going to be like good until, we don't know if we're going to need a booster. We don't know if we're going to need another vaccination for a different strand. And like, I don't know about anyone else. I usually plan majors that I go to out like months in advance.
Yeah, you're definitely not normal. I think that every
is very unique among Smashers. I'm just saying the same thing, Abby. I'm like, wow.
I am just saying, like, if I get a flight 2 months beforehand, and then suddenly a couple weeks before the event, like 2 weeks before the event, it's scary or something, you need a new vaccination. It took me a while to get my first vaccination. Luckily, I was able to get it pretty easily, but it did take a couple weeks after eligibility to actually get it. So it's something like, it could be a logistical issue if it's like safe to have a third vaccination instead of 2 shots. Like, it might not be easy to get that in the interim. I don't know. I am kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that I can just go to another major again and see people and hug people. Oh my God, Aiden.
Everybody's getting a hug. Everybody's getting
Aiden's
a hug.
number one, and then everyone through the venue. I'll just
Everyone except
it's
for
just like Smash Ultimate
unknown
Players. Like, I
acquaintances.
don't know you.
Yeah, the randoms you can get like a fist bump, but everybody else you're gonna get hugged.
I will say, to draw this into our second point about LAN locals, the New Jersey local, the Dub, to end their sets, they don't fist bump, they don't handshake, they don't even elbow tap. They do Captain Falcon.
That's funny.
So
I was wondering if like we would shift to bows or something, but I think we're
I love the Captain Falcon thing, because imagine you lose like last stock, last hit, because you like did the dumbest thing ever. You know how like if you were really mad, you could like fist bump someone and like punch them. Like, I don't think anyone should do that, but people have done it.
Oh yeah, that was like a thing.
Imagine doing the maddest like.
You got to do the other Captain Falcon top where you like turn away.
Oh, you got to do the turn away. Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant the flex, just the.
The idle animation.
Like,
yeah, it has to be some Captain Falcon thing.
Yeah.
The unused animation for like item found. Like. You guys see that one?
Yeah, no, I did see this.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
that's a great one. Yeah, they are doing that. I think that's super cool. And you know, this is something that we're gonna be having to look at, because this local are here 39 people. I'm really excited to see what the repercussions of this is going to be. This is, I think, the second time they ran it, so this would be the second week. I don't think we know of any people getting sick from it, so I'm definitely down to see how far we can get this. To make it a little bit of a on a lighter note, this was probably the first notable event that has a mix of LAN people and online people. So here are a couple of the top seeds. We have Nico, Ryobeat. So obviously someone who broke out on LAN. We have Wally, someone who hates netplay, sold his computer to mop money, so can't play netplay. And then we have Tommy, New Jersey Tommy, the Sheik player, definitely someone who popped off on online. And we got B-Bats, someone who New Jersey does not really even know. I think this is his first like in-person local in. He tweeted it, I think it was like 3 years or something.
Really? I thought he was honorable mention on the last PR that they had before COVID. Or was that like an online PR?
That might have been an online one. So the tweet was, have my first LAN tournament in 3 years today. First one, maining Peach.
That might be what it was.
Like, also, I know that New Jersey people didn't really know who this guy was. He was getting all these wins.
Yeah, B-Bats is crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen him play. He's a very aggressive Peach. He's swinging.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. So the cool thing is, like, we get to see how these players are doing. And just today, so B-Bats lost to Error, formerly known as Greasy. So that's kind of a little bit of a weird one, but ended up running it back through losers. Beat Bambi 3-0. And then Tommy, they played for 4th place. Tommy beat Error. And Tommy ended up winning over B-Bats to lose to Ryobeat and losers. By the way, Wally, this is turning into like local rundown. Wally 3-0'd Nico in winners finals.
Wow.
Yeah. So, dude, this is so sick.
Yeah, no,
we are seeing online people, LAN people. Oh my god, it's happening already.
This is like the exact group of people I wanted to see play at a LAN too. Like, not to like get my
like
own
3 peaches.
I was gonna say there's so many Peaches.
Seeing Nico at an event is super hype. Seeing Wally play again is super hype, because like everyone was like, dude, like, is this guy, did he fall off after not playing netplay for like a whole year? Like, he was so good before LAN. I think Tommy is super, super sick. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Tommy. He's so fast, dude. He's so sick. Very, very cool player. You know, I'm happy to see Greasy again. Like, there's so much. And I think that this is such a cool event. And
the thing is, like, this will just be, I mean, I don't know if this is probably the coolest local for a bit, but we will get this feeling so many more times in the coming weeks and months. Every region will have this, and I'll be like, dude, Android Zero is playing Curve, and it's like, I will get so excited to see that, something that I wouldn't care about at all in 2019 or something. Dude, I am so ready for this, and to commemorate this, let's be positive. let's pick some players who we think have done really well online, who are known as online players, who will continue to do well in a major, in local lands, local LAN regionals, LAN majors. I don't know if anyone wants to go first.
I'll say Ben because that's like an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many Minnesota locals there are. I don't know the local seed there. But, he's my favorite non-plup Sheik.
Damn, high praise.
Yeah, very, very high praise. I mean, we had a vacuum for a bit, and then we had a lot, and then the pluppy style still hasn't. I don't think anyone quite does it like Plup, but Ben hit that like fast Sheik itch that very few Sheiks can hit. Like J Mook's one of them. Ben, Plup, the very fast Sheiks. But yeah, no, I think Ben, just based on his play style, is gonna keep doing well. I love Face Roll though. Face Roll's
Face Roll doesn't count.
Yeah, Griffin's a homie. It's but yeah, no, he's yeah.
I'm trying to think of what a fun answer would be, because
I think a fun answer is J Mook. I think June kind of hit that.
J Mook counts as an online person. This is where it gets weird for me, because there's so many players where I'm just like, yeah, this guy was good. I wouldn't call this person like an online player, but I guess by most people's standards, J Mook would be considered an online player. But
I do think we're uniquely nerdy in the way where it's you guys didn't know Ben beat Abs and Page with that one Smash and Splash. I do think that there are a lot of players who online players, maybe with the exception of B-Bats, I don't know, 3 years without a local LAN, that's nuts.
Yeah, there's still people offline, right? So it's a little bit weird. What do you think of Aklo, right? So Aklo is someone that I thought of coming
out. Aklo has, I guess, people that have done well offline, because Aklo's gotten good offline wins before, and then really popped off online. He doesn't go anywhere,
right?
Yeah, he just can't. He's in pre-med. He's very
damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Classic Brown. But yeah, I think there's quite a few players like that who are somewhat offline, didn't get a chance to attend many, and really popped up online. But I'll give it to you. I think they can count.
The players that pop off online are generally people who might not have been able to, for whatever reason, for time or money or etc., not been able to go to however many tournaments, nationally recognized tournaments a year. Because in order to get on the top 100, something that one of the good things about including locals on a top 100, damn, I'm getting right back into this discourse, this top 100 discourse. We're not even ready for it yet. But one of the good things about including locals on a top 100 is that you don't have to get all your data from spending $200 on a flight to a tournament, however much money on a hotel, dude, probably $80 on a major pass, all the money to eat and stuff like that. You don't have to do that. You can just sit on your computer for 8 hours on a Sunday or something like that. Yeah. And I think that's opened it up. All these players we mentioned were good on LAN, and we're able to now have the ability to play so many players that they haven't played before.
I will say it's hard. Player that I'm really excited to see that doesn't get much exposure just from traveling is Lotfi. I swear to God, I go watch that guy play for hours. He's so
box
cool.
Lotfi or
well, I guess I haven't seen too much of him with box, but I imagine it's not terribly different. I think he's very fun to watch. He's he just feels very purposeful. I feel like I see him do stuff, and it's oh yeah, this guy. I would like to see more of Lotfi. I don't know how much we'll see when LAN returns, but I think he's a very cool player.
I do like how net play has been, as you said, the great equalizer. Everybody, it's relatively accessible. I guess you still need a desktop or something that can run.
Yeah.
But there's Diet Melee, so it's a lot more accessible. People don't talk about the costs of attending nationals a lot, but it can be pretty expensive if you're trying to get ranked top 100.
Yeah.
Hotel rooms, flights, carpools, they all can add up, and especially these younger players who don't really have a disposable income. That I'm glad that they were able to pop off on net play.
For sure. Yeah, like if you wanted to pop off on LAN, if you were not top 100, you probably had to do. We mentioned Kevin Maples. You probably had to do what Kevin Maples did, which was play insanely well at 3 tournaments in 2 months. Like you, because we had so many top 100 players who would put in really good results, wouldn't get the top 20 upset, but would just do really consistently well and would do it amortized over the course of a year. Like, and that is tough to do, especially for young people. You know, we talked about like the conduct in Smash, and I think a lot of people are talking about, well, what about 15, 16-year-olds going to tournaments? You know, the ideas behind that. So I think having this open is really great. Speaking of a 16-year-old, I'm going to give a shout out to a longtime LAN player, but I think Elliot's going to be good. If the H-Box Slayer himself,
one of many, but still
one of many. I'm going to pick on also another LAN player, one whose I think best wins have been on net play, a longtime LAN player, Koopa Troopa 895. That Marth is hilarious in all of the like best ways. Hilarious, generally not a great way to describe someone's playstyle, but it is a compliment. I'm gonna go outside the box here. I'm gonna say Rix. Rix from Europe. I don't know if people were really hyping him up. I know I learned of him late 2019 or early 2020. Like definitely, like very close to COVID LAN times, but definitely popped off. And aspirational pick, lag.
Lag,
Dude, lag.
yo, lag. He popped off on a few Xanities. Eventually we stopped including Mexico and West Coast in Xanities, and it was really funny to see like somebody from Mexico with the tag lag playing Roy. I was like, am I getting punked right now?
That's like, so sick. He's so good too.
He's very good. Yeah, he plays Roy in I think a much different way or a much more different way than Zane or even me. Like a new school Roy, which I didn't like. I have conceptions of like the fundamental flowchart of Roy and then like PM Roy, and then like lags is like some weird amalgamation, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like, so it is very entertaining for sure.
But you mentioned PM, obviously, very famous PM players. We have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So these are questions
I got a couple that we have from our Patreon, and maybe we get through these.
Our lovely Melee Stats patrons hit us up with some questions for you.
Cool.
So hopefully we can get your thoughts on this. Eric, you have one?
Yeah. So this one I think is pretty relevant just to your more recent efforts. So this one, just like last week, we're fielding a question from our good friend SSB Seal.
Seal,
Seal,
comment master on every single YouTube video. Also, comments
now the commentary master.
Yeah,
I know he does commentary at Sanity on Wednesdays. If you guys want to check.
Sort of on that note, you've gotten a lot more into commentary and content creation throughout the pandemic. Are both of those things that you plan to keep doing as your main focus in the Melee scene, or will we see one or both of them take a backseat when the return to LAN happens?
Yeah, so return to LAN, I foresee. Definitely, if content wouldn't really change because content I can continue doing from my house. You know, I have like a work schedule and I have to take vacation days, and sometimes I may not want to do that for a tournament. You know, I think some nationals are too good to miss, like Riptide or whatever the new Smash and Splash is called, as something that I would love to attend. And so, some work or some majors are very close, like SmashCon, so I wouldn't have to take any vacation days. But you know, weighing the cost benefits of going to an event and maybe doing commentary versus like doing other stuff with my vacation days, it's something that I haven't had to think about because I haven't been an adult very long. So it's I think content creation is going to continue. How much I attend majors is going to be up in the air, I think.
Yeah, like what's been your perspective on the content stuff? Because I feel like that's like where like a lot of us align here, right? In the content space in Melee.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
tell me about that. Like,
Um,
what's your shift to that like?
so I've been thinking about content for a while. I would theory craft just a lot of stuff with PM people and like Rishi and Zane and Lod, and just like talk about stuff that I thought was interesting in the Smash community. Like good players was an idea I had in like 2016 or something. I'm like, yeah, it would be really cool if somebody like was just talking about player habits and player patterns. Um, and then over the pandemic, and ever since 2016 ish, I would say 2016 was when I started like competing extremely seriously, because that's sort of where, or 2016 in PM, and then I guess like 2018 in Melee. Um, and when that all was happening, when I was sort of transitioning from competing to coaching, and then after coaching, I still had like thoughts about the game, but I didn't really have like the time or desire to compete, because at that time I was just like doing my masters and trying to be an adult and stuff. Um, Still getting used to all that stuff, by the way. But yeah, content seemed like a nice little like logical progression for me, because I was like, yeah, I want to talk about Smash, and I think there as I touched on earlier, there's so many things to talk about in the Smash community. There's a lot in my niche specifically. There's a lot, there's a lot of PM and player analysis to do, and I also think there's a lot of nuggets of content when it comes to like history and even like gameplay analysis. I watch like fighting game video essays, and like I'll watch like a video by like Leon Massey. I don't know if you
Leon
guys have heard.
Massey,
Yeah,
yeah.
the goat. I'll watch
Dude,
one of his
the
videos.
fastest talking video essayist I've ever seen.
I know he zips through it. Yeah,
I don't get how if I was in the editing booth for that one, I don't get how he has the confidence to do it, but all of his videos turn out so good.
I know. But I have an editor that I work with. Shout outs to Z, and Z's very like snap. I'm like kind of like the director and assistant editor, where I'll like be like, hey, use these clips, and we change this up, and Z wants to make it very snappy, and I want to like really drive a point and like pause it. And we have those little editor director scuffles here.
Yeah,
and
we're
there.
very familiar with this. This is
Yeah.
like very similar to our process, where like, we have like a producer and a director, and there's like a clash. And it's like
We're definitely
Yeah,
slower.
yeah.
Leon Massey, I have to pause his videos like 10 times within 10 minutes. Just like, dude, the speed that he goes, and he makes all his videos so well.
Yeah, rapid, and it seems like a one-man team, which is also incredible.
Insane.
The entire scripting process, I have like a thing that I stole from one of my friends who does film, and there's like this audio portion, and it's like what I say, and then like the video portion, and then like audio portion is sort of drafted up at the beginning, and then I'll like edit the script a little. Eventually, I have an audio, and then me and Z discuss what the video is going to look like, and then we pump out a first draft review, second draft review until it's final. But yeah, that's sort of like the basics of how I do scripting. Mm-hmm. It's like there's an audio portion and video portion, and then like notes kind of. And then we just keep iterating through it. The hardest part for me is definitely finally feeling good about a script.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, it's
so
most
hard.
of the time I just I think I just pull the trigger when it's bad a lot.
Yeah.
When I think it's bad, right? Because if I don't pull the trigger just like arbitrarily or just like give myself a deadline, it just stays in editing forever. And I've had a few scripts that are like that, honestly.
It's so funny because like you have to, at a certain point, you have to just like let the bird fly, right? Like push the baby bird off the ledge. That's what birds do, right?
Yeah,
but
die.
You have to do that, and then like in your mind, you're like, this part's so bad, and it lasts for like 1 second, and then you're like mad that people aren't calling it out. Like, how do they not realize this part was horrible? But it's so funny, dude. What a process.
Yeah, I have this concept that I wrote about a couple years ago, which I call like novelty dispersion. And I think it would help people if they tried to think about what it takes to make things when they consume stuff. Because I think that this is something that people don't appreciate about like the difference in how much you look at something depending on whether you're making it or you're consuming it, right? Like if you're making like a video, if you're going to look at every frame of this video over and over again for weeks, right? And you watch it one time and you're like, dude, this was great. Like, this was amazing. And it's like, you watch the same thing 10 times and it's no longer interesting to you.
Right.
And if you're making something, you have to confront that you're looking at something and like you've long since understood everything that you're going to say in this piece of work. And you're like, dude, is this even interesting anymore? Like, everyone knows this, right? Like, I've looked at this so many times. Like, this is so, like, clearly a thing that people know, right? And, like, you just have to constantly fight this feeling that it's like, no, like, this is really interesting. Like, if I beamed it back to myself, like, when I just started making this, I would think it's so cool. But I just think it's a big psychological struggle to make stuff because it's like, eventually, you'll get sort of bored of your own thought. And you have to keep confronting that in order to make it so other people can enjoy it. Yeah. So I super feel this like pull the trigger thing because it's just like it's terrifying.
I thought I knew Ego Death from playing competitive Melee and competitive games, but little did I know Ego Death from creating content is a whole other ball game. I think there's a lot more, and people are so critical. I mean, there's a lot of kind people in the Melee community. I will say that, but it is very people are very critical of like the first glance they see of something. Like it's like, oh, you did this at 342, and it's like, I know, like,
trust me, dude. I looked at it so many times.
We just decided to let it go because it would have been more effort than it's worth. Like,
yeah, we have a lot more cooks in the kitchen, and I think Ambi and Edwin are so amazing at like taking these ideas and getting them to the finish line.
What is each of your roles in the process? Ambi's like writing and editing, or
so this like it sort of depends on project.
Mm-hmm.
We've all like held hands on different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
I think we've all filled similar roles.
Yeah. Like I think that it would be sort of a misnomer to say that one of us does a specific thing.
Okay.
I think that we have like relative strengths and weaknesses. But I think the big thing is like we're like a collective group, right? So we have multiple projects that go at the same time, and we do different things on each of the projects, which allows us to not get like too sort of bogged down in a single role. So like like one quick example is like the Hanky Panky video was a lot more like Edwin's baby, right? Like he did the writing, me and Wheat did the editing, he did production, and like we all did voiceover, which is different from like Plot versus Prince Boo, for which I did most of the writing, and the other two did editing, and then we all did narration. And we split this sort of depending on who's available and who wants to do something. But yeah, it's like sort of all over the place depending on who's available for what things.
That's good that you guys are all getting that experience, though.
Yeah,
I'm definitely the umpire in this scenario. Like if they're the ones who are bringing it to the finish line, I'm definitely the one who's like stopping the fun. Dude, any like we've had articles and it'll have like a purple link in it, meaning it's been clicked, and I'll be like,
you need that. I think that QC
if I see
is definitely important. I have to do a lot of that in my stuff, and Z hates it because
look,
it's nitpicky, but I know that it's important because the viewer will point it out if we miss it. And then of course they're like at this stage in production, it's like they're just in there. Like we're not gonna rewrite the whole thing for one change. So it's a lot of choosing your battles, which is also a big part of content creation. Like not only putting it out, but it's like once it's out, it's like, okay, how do I want to mold this rock? How do I want to mold this? And is this mold?
In the marble, and it's like
yeah.
Right
It's right there. There's like one thing we could chip it off, but we could release it immediately.
Yeah, dude, I am like the uncool manager in a rock group sometimes, I swear. The
Well, I think the thing is with you, is that like Edwin and I, our background is not really with multimedia. Like it's with article writing, right? Like Edwin has done his like Smash Journo thing in the scene for a really long time, and like I'm just like a fucking academic all the time when it comes to stuff like this. So like I feel like Wheat is the one that like he sees the video in the script that we write, and he like makes it happen. And he keeps like making himself like the uncool person, but like man, if you saw like the scripts that me and Edwin write, they're just like you say them out loud, and it's like this is not a video, dude. This is an article.
the original PPMD Lazar video was hilarious because that was Edwin and Chroma, and it was a 40-minute video, and I believe that 40-minute video is still available to watch if you are a patron of ours, and it got cut down to like 34 minutes or something, and there's I will leak one part of it. The video, is it the right before the title? I forget. It has the phrase, "This set will have the answers," and I go, Anouk, please, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Like it was this whole big intro, and this set will have the answers. It's like, what are you doing here? This is like a first grade writing.
It was funny
like,
because it was over an image of Lazar chugging a beer. And it was like Lazar chugging a beer, and we're going, this set will have the answers.
Has the answers. Yeah, the media, like the aspect of a video essay is something that's like you have to show and tell, but you don't want to do both at the same time, and you don't want to do one too much or one too little. It's something that's such a fine art, and I'm still getting used to it. I mean, I have experience in like I used to do like theater and watch a lot of film when I was in college. So I have like some experience there, and I have like a lot of art friends, and then I'm just like a nerd. And so I have like this weird mishmash of background in the Smash community, and also like academia and art kid stuff. And having that mixed background is almost a detriment, because sometimes I don't even know what I want. It's like when Wheat and you are discussing, it's like, okay, Wheat's the guy who's gonna like things to the chopping block. When one person is the guy who has to put it all together, it's like, what do I do here?
Yeah, dude, I'm having such a great conversation here. I want to get some more questions in.
Right, there were questions for me.
Well, okay. How about this? In the next 12 months, in the next year, me, you, Melee Stats, Turn Down for Walt, Radar. Fucking like throw Wasabi and JD in there. Jesse Wall, maybe. We're all gonna rent a big mountain house somewhere.
Ooh,
and we're just gonna run a content house. It's like one of those Vine houses that they have.
I would love to have like a little content creation retreat. SmashCon generally has panels. I would love to do like a content creation panel at SmashCon if we have SmashCon this year.
Get Dark Genix on there.
Yeah, Dark Genix being master. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get to some questions. We'll save the content panel for the content house.
About this at some point.
Next question is: would you consider June summer or spring? Late spring or early summer?
This is related to that question you guys made, right? Off the top of my head, wait. You say late spring or early summer?
Late spring or early summer.
Off the top of my head, I would say early summer. But based on the context of that question, I would have gotten B. Zane said like locust or something. I'm like, locusts aren't a beetle. What?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like the fact that it had to do with a month in that area and then also a beetle. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. We want to back ourselves up here. The first official day of summer is June 21st. That is 3 weeks into June.
Really? I did not know that. I thought like May, June was summer.
No, it's just that late spring is hot because it's pretty much the same thing as early summer.
Yeah.
It's literally
Huh.
separated by a single day.
Yes. Now look, is the fact that we base the seasons on like the solstice or whatever like that, is that arbitrary? Yes, of course, but it's Jeopardy, dude. Everything's arbitrary.
Yeah.
If you follow the arbitrary rules once, you have to do it during Jeopardy. Well, it's good to hear that you would have gotten your own question right.
that
how
was
did
a
it feel
fun
to hear Zane miss it?
I was disappointed. I was very disappointed.
I think Zane was disappointed. The noise that he made was hysterical.
I know. He's like, oh, no, June. Oh, cut this one. Yeah, no, it was funny. Yeah, good content for sure. Really like the GG content, sort of appealing to both like the casual and competitive.
I think they're
portions
doing a good
of the
job.
They've been killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a quick question before? Because I know you've been on for so long, and I appreciate your time. Do we have
I do
another
want to
quick
squeeze in
question?
one more, which is from Edwin. He wanted you to talk about this for like 30 minutes, but I think it's better for everyone that this is like limited a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
sum it up to like a minute.
Yeah, he wants to know your thoughts on the future of Sheik versus Marth. Because I think that this is something that's sort of in a lot of the discourse recently about a lot of players electing to pick Sheik against Marth. There's a lot of development from players that are coming up in that matchup, and I think that your perspective on where you think that matchup is headed, I think, would be very interesting.
Yeah. To where to start? So I think Sheik Marth is a pretty good matchup for Sheik. For a few reasons. Like edgeguarding's really solid. Neutral's decent against Sheik. I do think Marth wins slightly. I think Sheik combos are like short and sweet, and she gets a bit, but Marth combos have the potential to just be devastating at any portion. The Foxes picking out Sheik for Zane, not sure how well that will work. At the high level, because Zane is also very good at the Sheik matchup, because we talked and played it a lot, and I think the fact that Sheiks are getting practice, like Leffen's been playing Zane Sheik or Zane with Sheik on stream, that's good to see. I think there's some like fundamental differences in the way that Sheik should play that matchup, and I actually don't know that much about Fox Marth, but just like the play style that would be very effective against Zane. I think that might be hard for a lot of Fox players to access with Sheik, because it's sort of it might require a more seasoned approach to the character. Do I think it's a better matchup? Sure. Do I think it matters in like anything besides the very, very high level? No, because at that point you're losing to Zane anyway. I can't really predict how that's going to turn out for the Foxes. I mean, I think they'll probably lose, but maybe they have something planned that I can't foresee, or they're really grinding that matchup. Unless they get the Junebug coaching, which doesn't exist.
I was excited. I was like, oh, is there a plug coming at the end of the show?
I messaged Leffen and then he didn't respond. So
damn.
Yeah. I
Left
also
unread.
don't really. Coaching is it's something that I did like for Zane and then for a few people before, but I really don't do it that much anymore. I have like one student that's a friend right now, and basically it's very I just like content more. Coaching is sort of taxing the way that I do it. It's very gritty, like drilling down stuff, and I prefer if somebody's. I think a lot of what coaching could be is just like, hey, do these things, like think about these things, and you'll be fine. Like there's only so much that the coach can and should do. I think in order for somebody to really improve as a player, like the people that really want to improve have to figure out their own method of improving and their own method of learning. And I don't necessarily like imposing my structure onto them. But yeah, that's just sort of my thing with coaching right now. Maybe that'll change.
Awesome. I mean, Edwin's going to get mad that wasn't 2 hours itself, but we
Yeah.
are running up on 2 hours. So we're going to let you go soon. Ambi, what do you think? Should we run my little segment?
Yeah, let's do it. We'll have our 1 minute
Yeah.
of non-topic.
I want to have. So I was thinking about this recently. You know, we talk about Melee exclusively, right? And unless you're in our Discord, unless you know us in person, that's really probably all you hear us talking about. But I do think we're multifaceted people. I think we like a lot of other things. So I'm going to try something new. Each week, I want to talk about something that we've been interested in this week that's not Melee related. And
I have a good one. Sorry.
do you want to go first?
No, sure. Actually,
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Castlevania new season just came out.
Nice.
I watched that today. If you guys haven't seen the other seasons of Castlevania, definitely watch that first. Animation's beautiful. It's very very violent.
This is Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix. Pacing and plot is okay for this season, but it does have some some really good fights. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
If you like fight anime, or I guess it's animation, like fight plus animation, you'll like Castlevania. But yeah.
So mine, as you might be able to tell by my wall of CDs and my album, my wall of records that you can't see, I am very big into music. I'm going to go with an album. This is something that I really only listened to this week, and I've been listening to it a lot. It's an album called Expensive Shit by Fela Kuti, who is a Nigerian, this is like 70s or something like that, like funk artist, super big for world music at the time, like world music. Just basically like bridging that gap between different cultures and having people from like the Western world listening to other parts of music, music from other parts of the world.
What'd you say his name was?
Fela Kuti, Fela, and then Kuti. I would highly recommend that. It's super short album. It's like 24 minutes. It's 2 long funk songs. I think they're great. Super cool, like rhythms and stuff like that. I'd highly recommend that. Eric, what you got?
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know if this counts, but I did buy this, which is a Salvadoran cookbook that I've been going through because my family is from El Salvador, and I think this is great. I think that food from El Salvador is dope. If you guys have never had pupusas, I would highly recommend going on Google Maps and looking up pupuseria because it's the greatest food ever invented by humanity.
Hell yeah.
I found out that there's one near my house, and I was like, this is the best shit ever. And then I bought this cookbook. So that's what I've been doing lately. That's not Melee, which is not very much, I will admit. I've been doing a lot of Melee stuff. But yeah. Salvadoran food is bomb AF.
I think I've had a pupusa before, but what are they? Could you describe them?
So tortillas in El Salvador are not made by pressing like a machine. They're made by hand. So you take like cornmeal and you flatten it with your hands and then you like press it into a grill. So they're like thicker and they're like handmade. So it's kind of like a Central American dumpling, where you take like pork and beans and cheese and you wrap it in this like cornmeal dough and then you like flatten it into a really hot pan. So it's like a tortilla, but it's like a thick tortilla. So it's basically like wrapping with the tortilla, but like in the tortilla, and cheese and whatever fillings you decide to put in it. Super, super good. The best shit of all time.
No bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even
Indian food? I don't know. But pupusas are very good. Yeah, I think I've had one before. Yeah.
Are they like so the texture of it, I've seen them, I never had it. It's not like, I'm thinking like a sope, right? Because it's like that's like the same it's like thick, but I think that the texture of the dough is different because they're fried differently, right? This is supposed to be a short segment, dude. We're gonna have another episode on this. No, this is amazing. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna ruin this segment next week when Edwin Budding goes on a 50-minute rant about Fidel Castro. But before then, I'm so excited to like be able to show that we're people who aren't shackled to Melee.
Yeah.
Well, not entirely, at least.
Yeah, well, now we have to go back to being shackled to Melee. Junebug, where can people follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at ARJunebug. I have a Patreon. I think that's also ARJunebug. And on YouTube, I'm RJunebug Smash. I think if you look up Junebug Smash, I should pop up on YouTube, and it's all on my Twitter profile. I think my Patreon might not be there anymore, but yeah. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and if you really want to enjoy my content and help me not run as negative with content creation, you can subscribe to my Patreon so that my editor can eat food. No, he eats. Yeah, I pay him. But yeah, just follow me on all the socials and YouTube and Patreon. I made a TikTok recently. I don't know. It's just reposts of all my Smash
Dude,
stuff
have you
from my
seen
YouTube.
Cool Hat's TikTok?
Dude, I was just about to say.
No, is it good?
Yeah, Cool Hat. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess it's like a professor, and it's like he gets like thirst follows from his students, but he has like 2 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
What? He's a Smasher?
And it's just like him like looking at the camera and being like, "Don't ask me what I did before class." Just like
it's wild.
Oh my god. I gotta look this guy up.
he's very popular.
I think he just quit TikTok.
He
No.
quit TikTok?
Yeah, he just had a TikTok about how he's quitting TikTok and quitting being a professor. So I don't know. Like, does getting 2 million followers on TikTok mean you can quit? Like, I don't know how this works.
Quit everything.
We got to get Melee Stats on TikTok. That is sick. Dude, I appreciate being on so much. I know that you gave a lot of your time, and I do know that we said this was going to be a short episode that wasn't going to reach 2 hours.
Yeah, it's fine. It was fun. Yeah, I had a fun time talking with you guys.
I will see you at the Melee content creator, the Melee small to medium content creator summit.
Hell
yeah.
All right, I'm going to look for someone to raid, but thank you guys.
Well, but before we do, don't forget that you can follow us at Melee Stats Pod on Twitter. You can join our Discord server to hear us chat about Melee and otherwise. You can support us on Patreon at Patreon/MeleeStats, Patreon.com/MeleeStats. If you want to watch our long form content, you can do so on the Melee Stats YouTube channel. If you want to watch stuff like this, like our podcast or archived live streams or archived sets from Melee, you can do so at the Melee Stats archive. Do we have anything else?
If there's anything that was missed, it's you can scroll down on Twitch and we put it all in banners at the bottom of the page. So we did
Hell
all
yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you so much, guys.
I appreciate you being on, and I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next week on Waiting for Game.
Peace.
Bye.